guys, welcome back to another episode of
Swaggy
Science Students! MUKBANG Edition! Okay guys, so we will be talking about Unit 2, which is cell structure and energy, which is Chapter 8 on cellular energy. So, how organisms obtain energy. So, the first thing we'll be talking about is transformation. So, energy is the ability to do work. In biology, work equals cellular activity. So, there are the law of thermodynamics. Okay, so the first law is about conservation of energy. Energy cannot be created nor destroyed, so it can only be converted. Okay, and the second law.
Got cheese on my bag.
The second law is entropy increases with conversion. So entropy is unusable energy. Okay, and now we'll be talking about the two different types of species. There are autotrophs who make their own food, so that's like plants with photosynthesis, and they turn they turn solar energy into a food source. And the second type is heterotrophs, and heterotrophs have to eat food. So let's say I'm in the woods and I'm starving. I'm just going through a stroll through the park and I see a deer. Poo, dinner.
Or we're in a car doing a mukbang and we're eating bagels.
Yes, because we're heterotrophs.
Metabolism is all chemical reactions in the cell. ATP, which is adenine triphosphate, provides chemical energy to the cell. This is very important for the biological molecule. The structure of ATP energy is adenine, ribosome, sugar, and 3 phosphate groups. This generates energy by breaking off phosphate groups. So it starts with ATP, which is 3 phosphate groups, then goes ADP, which is diphosphate, which means 2 phosphate groups, then AMP, which is monophosphate, which is 1 phosphate group. How is there so many? Okay, and then ATP is broken down and then recharged, adding phosphate to AMP or ADP.
We're talking about photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is light energy, so the sun converting to chemical energy. The formula is light plus carbon dioxide plus water, and from that you get oxygen and glucose. Chloroplasts capture light energy, mainly in leaves. Chloroplasts are made of a thylakoid, which is a flat sac-like membrane, a grana, which contains pigment, and a stroma, which is fluid-filled space.
What is
a magnet?
Now I'll be talking about pigments. There is major pigment in plants from the chloroplast. The chloroplast absorbs light in blue and the violet part of the spectrum and reflects light in the green part.
I turned your party breaker here.
There's also accessory pigments like a carotenoid that reflect yellow or orange.
Like a carrot is orange.
And that's how it got its name. And pumpkins. Part 2 of photosynthesis is the electron transport.
You're right, Anna.
Chlorophyll produces high energy electrons to produce ATP.
2. The Calvin cycle. So part 1 of the Calvin cycle is the light independent reactions. Light is actually not required, but energy from ATP makes glucose during this process.
So now we'll be talking about respiration. So in an overview, respiration is the breakdown of glucose to get ATP. And organelles responsible for this is mitochondria. If you know about your cells, you should know this already.
We talked about
Now
what?
our dance party.
No, Taylor.
No, just let me talk.
We talked about what a mitochondria and what it does in our last video.
Go check
No,
it out.
that's a lie. In our 2 videos ago.
Link will be in the description below.
Link in description. So
check it out. Our Instagrams are also in the description below. Check it out.
Yeah,
And
follow us.
Snapchat.
Oh no,
And-
no,
and
probably not
Twitter.
Snapchat.
So now I'll be talking about aerobic and anaerobic things. So aerobic is oxygen used to break down glucose and ATP. Anaerobic is oxygen not used to break down glucose. Okay?
Okay, thank you for that.
So the net is 4 ATP per molecule of glucose. So glucose also gives 2 high energy electrons. And right after this clip, I'll put up a diagram. Now I'll be talking about the Krebs cycle. The Krebs cycle is a pyruvic acid broken down into
Taylor, they can't
CO2.
even see you. You have to come in more. Okay, there.
It is also called the citric acid cycle. So this
It's my turn.
is the Krebs cycle diagram.
High energy electrons go to the inner membrane of the mitochondria. These electrons travel through this chain. Energy from the transport is used to create ATP energy, which I talked about before. It creates about 36 to 38 ATP energy per molecule of glucose. So this is the chain it goes through.
Now I'll be talking about the Krebs cycle. The Krebs cycle is a pyruvic acid broken down into
Taylor, they can't
CO2.
even see you. You have to come in more. Okay, there.
It is also called the citric acid cycle. So this
It's my turn.
is the Krebs cycle diagram.
Okay, there's also other types of anaerobic respirations, like fermentation with glucolysis. Okay, wait. There's other types like fermentation when glucolysis does not stop, which is one is lactate acid fermentation, which is when pyruvic acid from glucolysis converts to lactate acid, produced in the muscles of the body. Produced when the muscles in the body cannot provide enough oxygen. There's also alcoholic fermentation occurs when yeast occurs in yeast in abstinence of oxygen. Pyruvic acid is broken down into alcohol and CO2 or carbon dioxide. And that's all we got for you, ladies.
Wait, I didn't get to talk anymore. I got to say one sentence, but it's fine.
Yeah, because I
We'll
just
see you next time on the Swaggy
science.
Students
Channel!
Throw your bark at it. Throw your bark at it. Same.
Oh yeah.
That's
just
how you
that.
have to end the video, is from throwing the bird. Shatters my phone.